Five, four, three, two. We in there? Yeah. What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Bennett and Mike Baker coming at you with the 15th episode of the Apple Advisory. Hope everybody's doing well amid, this COVID-19 pandemic, whether it be real or social to you. It's no matter. We gotta abide by the cultural rules right now. Make sure that we stay safe and stay sound. Um, Let me stop, man. I ain't been doing none of that, man. I still been going out. I hope everybody's still doing good. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. I'm surviving. I'm alive. Johnny Five. Yeah, I'm out like every other day at the most, at the minimum.
Yeah,
One
my
day in,
girl.
one day.
Yeah, man, my girl still she be on that trying to go to the park. We down here in the A, so weather's still good. It's crazy how like I moved to a beautiful place up and up, and it's like then this happened, they shut down outside. But no matter, we gonna still move forward. But we gonna bounce back hard. I know this summer is gonna be a hot boy, hot girl summer for everybody. You know what I mean? We're gonna, people gonna be enjoying that. But y'all know what we do here at the Apple Advisory, man. Same thing what we do with all of our shows. Now you all know that we have a history with here in at Apple. We throw a lot of shade, but it's warranted because you know Apple has just been on some silliness for the past couple of years, ever since
Easy.
the I say the spirit of Steve Jobs has left. But we pray that they'll come back to their senses. But same thing. We give strong critique to any company that we come across that's doing silliness in the industry, and for those who are doing excellent things, we push them to the front, give them a round of applause, and we back them up and all of what they're doing. But the topics we're gonna be talking about today is Apple CEO talks COVID-19 crisis, return from work plan at the company worldwide meeting. Um, Next, Apple Music is now available on the web, so you don't have to use iTunes. That's a big thing. I also feel like that's happening for several reasons, but we'll jump into why. And lastly, how Apple owes everything to its 1977 Apple II computer. Right. So and I think that's pretty cool because what people who are even in the technology industry, sometimes we can get into this spur of just like for the next best thing, and because technology moves so quickly. But it's always good to recognize where you come from, especially in this industry. But we want to jump right into it, man. So first couple of sentences from the article we came across. Um, Apple Inc. Chief Executive Officer Tim Cook led a company-wide virtual meeting on Thursday to address concerns about the impact of COVID-19 and discuss the iPhone maker's plan to return to work. Now it's crazy because I didn't even know that Tim Cook, I guess, was the primary one behind the iPhone, but it is what it is. But I want to scroll to read this one part in the article that for this one. Now this is going to be some shade, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I was looking for something good, but I just don't like what they tried to pull off here because we all know, at least within the recent history, that Apple hasn't really had too many advances in what they offer to people. Let's just keep it honest, man. They either going to be selling an iPhone, an iPad, maybe an Apple Watch, that $50,000 computer that they have, or the what is it, the earbuds or whatever. But here he says in the middle of the article, he said that Apple isn't immune to worldwide economic trends, but that it entered the coronavirus pandemic with a robust balance sheet, and stressed that the company will keep investing in a really significant way in research and development and future products, according to Apple employees who attended the meeting. A company spokesman declined to comment. So this is the thing. Like I said, it's nothing that you can really find that's new that's going on with Apple. I think that again with the culture they've provided, and even with me using an Apple device, um, yeah, it has its quirks, and I like it, but it's just nothing really that's too progressive that would make me want to buy in and back Apple as a company purely because I haven't really seen enough from them. I know we had things where they talked about the Apple Watch and some of the breakthrough. I think we did a article way back when about some woman was saved because an Apple Watch was tracking her heart or something like that, and that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But I still think that
The dude that got hit from the bike, he was on the bike and got hit by a car, and the Apple
uh,
Watch announced or called the EMS because they recognized that he got hit or
mm,
fell really hard.
so that's what it was. Okay, yeah, yeah. So and that's good. That's good. But I still feel that I still feel that there's a wide range of things that they haven't covered within the technology industry that would really solidify their spot as being authentic technology gurus, and it's weird because they started off like we'll get into that in the last subject, but they started off as a pure technology company. They was really making be breaking grounds with a lot of things they were offering. But when I hear stuff like this, like what Tim Cook is saying, trying to make this into some type of real, some type of big issue that their company has been hit hard and they don't know they have to find all these significant ways to invest in new technology. It's like that. Come on, man. You really you're pushing the envelope there. It's nothing really new from what I can see that Apple is really doing as far as making new products. Now they may have different things they invest in as far as how to pitch the same products, but it's nothing new. I definitely feel like this is just what they call it, smoke and mirrors or something like that. This is just another thing that again, and it's shameful because this is something I would expect to read something like this from Apple.com, Apple News. But
Yeah,
even on
yeah,
the even where we pulled this article from, it still seems like they're trying to either pull information to talk about, or what they get is something that really doesn't give Apple credibility to them being a morally progressive company. Not that companies really care about morals anyway, but saying that they really care about the people beyond just what's in their pockets. What you feel about that, Mike?
yeah. I mean, I agree. This total like fluff article. This is something that they need to be said because they one of the first companies that got hit with the COVID-19 situation because we've been talking about COVID-19 for like 3 4 months, well, almost about 3 months now, because we were talking
Mm,
about how Apple had to shut down their warehouses
yeah.
because COVID-19 was slowly creeping up. The manufacturing plants that they got in China was getting hit.
Mm,
So we've been talking about Apple having to close down their manufacturing for a while because of the COVID-19 thing before it even hit America for real. And this is just them having to keep their shareholders at bay and let them know that they continue to still potentially progress,
yeah.
even though they're amongst this deadly situation. And whether it's really a big situation or not, it's something that's been shutting down a lot of progression of all companies because everybody is, for the most part, working at home unless you're in the essential workforce, um, and a lot of unemployment. Yeah, Apple is one of those companies that they're mostly luxury items. Like
Right.
nobody really buys them because they like, yo, I need this to do something that is life saving or life changing, and nobody else can do it. Like you can go to a variety of people for getting whatever thing. Like if you want to do something that Apple's devices can do, you can find 20 other devices that can do that same thing for like half to a third of the cost.
Right.
The reason that you go to Apple is because you want the luxury of it. Like you want it to look beautiful, you want it to run beautifully and all this stuff, but it's not as much about completing the task. Like if
Yeah.
you wanted to just complete the task, you got a whole bunch of options to complete the task.
It's
I
really
mean,
about
you
people wanting to be part of the culture. That's what it is.
yeah, it's yeah, people want to be part of the Apple world, that circle. Like they do a good job at creating a culture and building around it. It's almost like a religion with a lot of people. Apple is one of those things, but
But
I
yeah,
mean, I feel
go
like
ahead.
that for their $1 trillion, man, they should be definitely doing a lot more, especially in the way of health. Like they should definitely be participating in like figure out like I think Samsung came out with or they're coming out with a watch that actually could check your blood pressure beyond just like your heart rate. Like
Yeah,
there's things that Apple with their $1 trillion should have definitely be doing, but like they tend to only really work with what's sell. Like they only
yeah,
really work in a market that they know they can make a profit. And if they gotta like work with a gamble, if they gotta like, you know, theorize whether it's a possibility and they want to be the first ones at it before anybody else, they rarely ever the
no,
first
they
ones
don't
at
do that.
anything.
Yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah, I mean they never the first ones. They just happen to be the better ones in a lot of situations. I ain't gonna say all of them. It's just in a lot of
yeah.
situations they happen to be the better option.
Or the better
Um,
promoted one.
the better promoted option.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Let's put some correction on there. The better
yeah. It's like, oh
promoted one.
yeah,
They
I
got a
feel you
lot of
though.
marketability on there. Like
Uh,
there's a lot of software, a lot of apps. Android can do a lot of things. Windows can do a lot of things that Apple does, but Apple got a lot of proper marketing, and a lot of
mhm.
that's because they only, everything is in house. Everything is all coveted by Apple. You get the Apple operating system, the Apple phone, Apple software.
Yeah,
I mean, but nonetheless, it's way many other avenues that people can go beyond Apple. It's just that Apple happens to have that status apparatus. I mean, they
they
have that
have that
they
pipe. They make it pop. But with the things that they sell, with their information. Let's be honest, man. Steve Jobs just blazed the trail. Like his and what
Mhm,
benefited them is that because he passed away, it's almost like his respect and his contributions to the company, like to the people through the company, it's like it's been immortalized. And this is what a lot of people buy into, which I
mhm.
think is brilliant for as a like. So from the business side, as a marketer, I see what they're doing, and I can game recognize game, and I can't hate too much on that end because at that, maybe if I was on their board of execs, I'd probably be doing the same thing, just learning how to study the psychology of people and being able to use that as a way to get more customers to keep the company going. So I get that, but two, with technology in itself, things started off within the technology industry as a way to make life not necessarily just more for entertainment, but just better, right? Like to make it so when I think about these tech titans, right? People, these companies within the tech industry that have these billions and trillions of dollars, it always comes to I always come to question like, what monumental changes are you making that would advance civilization? That's what technology has the power to do. And right now I know they talked about I think it was Apple and Google. They're supposed to be partnering up to make this COVID-19 app, right? But even
Yeah,
so, it's kind of like for one, I feel like Google's probably gonna, they're gonna lead the charge on that. It's Google. The data guys and are definitely Google, all right? So, Apple probably just know how to sell it to everybody. But
yeah.
I think that's what it
They'll
comes
make it
down to.
a pretty app. They'll make
Yeah,
it something that you want to download.
that's it. But other than that, man, like even when we identify in this article, they haven't really thoroughly recognized like you're saying here that the spokesperson when he came to ask him about this, he declined to comment. Like I was one of them. I don't. I mean, whatever he says. That's what I
Yeah,
kind of
they,
felt like he said when they asked him that. Like he just ain't had nothing to say. It's because like they know it's just really they have a system that works for them. This like recession proof. So from a
mhm.
business stance, I'm like, okay, I get it. And I was like, I respect that, but don't paint the picture like and I even get like why they may have to paint the picture of, oh, we're so invested in knowing what's going on with they have to play into where the hearts of the people are, but just from like business is kind of like we recession proof. People still going to buy iPhones, and somebody's still going to
Yeah.
contend to
When
buy a
you
$50,000 computer.
it's hard to like it's hard to like I don't know when you're inside and you're able to see like marketing strategies and see how they do things from another perspective when you're not just a consumer but you understand the industry, you see how manipulative their ways are. You just get angry at them, and sometimes you be like, "Yo, why y'all doing it like this? Y'all know y'all getting over on people." And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, if you working with them, you be like, "Yeah, that's a perfect strategy. Yeah, I get
it'll work.
perfect strategy, but damn it, why y'all gotta do it like that?"
Right.
Like, at this case, I'm the consumer, and now you're gonna try to use these tricks on me. I understand what you're doing.
Right. I see the game, so I see the game.
Yeah, it's like when you got a kid trying to do like some tricks on you. It's like, yo, you 5, yo. Come on, yo.
Yeah.
I know this. I know what you're doing. I know what you got in your hand.
Right. Exactly, man. But let's see. Let's jump into the next topic, man. I think we didn't beat that with a dead horse. Beat that.
Yeah.
Whatever the saying goes. But this one says Apple Music is now available on the web, so you don't have to use iTunes. Now, I think this is just an adaptation to what's going on currently within the industry. It seems that they, at one point in time, when you thought about streaming music, you automatically thought iTunes.
Mhm.
Right. There was a point in time where that's kind of what it was. Like streaming is like, oh, you need to get iTunes. Got downloaded on your computer. I know they finally made it where you could download iTunes on like a what's called a PC
Yeah,
and
yeah, Windows.
Windows PC, and then so that was like the thing. But be it we have so many different, you got your Spotify's, you got your Tidal. I endorse. I like Tidal, and these other streaming platforms coming out, and with they're talking about what we just talked about with the them doing extensive research in different products, meaning that they having to learn how to adjust to the times in order for the company to, in the subsidiaries to really stay afloat. We are led into this current situation where Apple Music is now available on the web. So as a way to get more customers in, so from a business stance, I see what they did there. Like let me explain a little bit. So as far as like marketing goes, I guess you can kind of look at Apple Music as a way to. It's like a what they call a tripwire, like a low ticket type of item where someone can buy it, but also it's continuity, right? So it's something where people buy it and then now they have to pay a monthly subscription. So now that kind of boosts up how much your monthly income is, right? What the monthly revenue
Mhm.
is. So that's good. And by doing that, you slowly with the advertising, with the images that you show and the music, the commercials that's played on there, you slowly are indoctrinating your audience into buying more products, buying something of something more higher end. So I see this as again, and I don't really have too much to say negative about this. I see what's going on here, and I think it's a solid move for them because again, they having some thick competition that's happening, and a way for them to still keep the company moving in a positive trend, and for them to be able to acquire more customers, and of course, remain as that as impactful as they did within the I guess music streaming industry. This is something that they had to do. So what I see for them happening as well is by it being web enabled, of course they probably have to up the type of content that's on it. And I'll say this, So although I like Tidal, and I actually endorse it a lot, I noticed that on some streaming platforms like Tidal, there's music from certain artists that I love, and that I know that other artists that other people love, where a lot of the music that not a lot, but there are some songs, some music that's not on these streaming platforms that it seems like Apple Music has.
Mhm.
And I think
Exclusivity
that's
deals.
yeah, and I think that's going to work in there. That works in their favor because, again, if you want that full experience, like I'll give you an example. I was listening to I'm a so take this as a with a grain of salt for any of the dudes just listen. All right, but I'm a Trey Songz fan. I like his music. I like Trey Songz music. All right, so
Yeah,
I
Trey
mean,
Songz cool.
Trey Songz. I mean, it's more of it's like his stuff like in the past between the Ready album sound like a real fan,
He
but
like R. Kelly minus the controversy.
yeah, that's a
I
good one.
mean,
That's a good one. But I like his music, and one of his best tapes he made was Anticipation 2,
Mhm.
right? And for a while, it was a mixtape one of my exes put me on to. I mean, it's a long story. This is we talking about tech here. She put me on to it, and I like it, and it wasn't available on Tidal for a long period of time. And then I think I just noticed it maybe like 2 days ago that was on there. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna listen
Mhm.
to it. I go on there, and there's certain songs on there that's grayed out.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's almost like although it's there, I can't get the full experience because the songs I was kind of looking forward to, they're not. I can't listen to them. Whereas though when you go on like an Apple Music, they tend to, maybe because they've had a lot of like stake in the game, they've been there for a long period of time. They have access to some of these music and like mixtapes and stuff like that that Title doesn't necessarily have. So I think Title, although they provide good content, like they show interviews and like podcasts and stuff like that, it's cool. But the core of like the music that you go to stream, is still missing bits and pieces that I feel like Apple Music has. So by them opening it up to the, just making it where it's on the web, so you don't have to use iTunes anymore. Like you can just go to the web and pay your subscription. That positions them in a great place.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. It streamlines it. It streamlines it. Like that whole go to the website, download and install this application, install the application, then you gotta sign into that. Like all of that is dead. Like if you I heard somewhere basically it's like if you can make it in the web, it's gonna be a web app. So like
Mm.
90% of the stuff that has been around for years that has been like a installed application that you had to run on your computer, more than likely they're going to be all transitioned into web applications. And I mean that's been the case for a while now. Basically, that's especially with like all this cloud storage, Google Drive, Dropbox, and all this stuff, OneDrive, and all of that, um, and Google Chrome being out there. Everything is definitely going to be web based as much as possible. And I mean it's just it's streamlining it to make it an easier barrier entry, for people that all you got to do is just type in applemusic.com or whatever they making that domain name is. It's like probably like music.apple.com or something. But like just type
Apple
that
dot
in and then
music.
you there. Yeah, apple.music type thing. Something like that is gonna be what there. It's gonna be as simple as possible, streamlined as possible, so you don't have to do nothing. You barely got to think about it. And they just want to make that as simple as possible so that it's easier for people to be able to go in and pay their 9.99 a month. And yeah, I mean, it's competition's sake too, because Spotify did the same thing for a while. You had to install the Spotify app, but then they
Yeah.
transitioned fully to the web player.
Mhm.
Google always had a web app because all everything they do is through the
That's right.
browser.
Yeah.
Um, Microsoft, they don't even think they in the music game
No,
anymore.
right.
I think they
But
might have something for
did they
sale.
have something?
They had something back. Remember when they had the Zune? Yeah, I mean,
Ah,
they had
that's what
like
that was.
the iPod Zune. I mean, they used to sell stuff on there,
Oh.
and they integrated that with Xbox. So like, yeah, like a lot of the stuff for your movies and music, if you wanted to use it through the Xbox or something like that, you can get it from a marketplace that Apple had. I mean, that Microsoft that had,
Yeah.
but it's not like popping like any
Yeah.
other service out here.
Yeah. I'm like
Like,
Zoom. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, it's for the people that just want to be in Microsoft's world. Like you gotta have a reason for that shit. Like if you want to be there, they got something for you. And like you said, with like Title, they probably don't have the same contracts because yeah, Apple and Spotify in particular, they do a good job at doing like what they call like human labor. They got like a lot of people, human capital. Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of people that go around making these contracts and making these deals for these exclusive rights to early releases of music. And it keeps other companies away. So like Drake will come out with a new album and it'll release on Apple for like a month first, and then later on it'll get to
It'll
like
be on the
Google Music,
oh,
Spotify, and everybody else.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
that's what Apple capitalizes on. That's why they got people like Drake. I mean, like Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. Even though they had the whole Beats movement, it was really
Yeah.
just about all of music. They just wanted to capitalize on all of music, and Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre is basically what you gotta do. So like hiring
Yeah.
them is buying them. That
Yeah.
basically put them up
There
there.
you go.
Uh,
There you
but
go. He's
like
right, like, yeah, purchasing them. That's what they
yeah, I was about to say hiring them. Like, nah, and then buying them. They
Right,
bought them.
yeah.
They bought them off that. Yeah, I mean, but like that's the moves that they gotta do to be able to do that. And I mean, it keeps them with a power play. But yeah, opening up to the web browser just gives that barrier of entry easier because, like I said, at Mac people is cool. They already got it. They get it
Yeah.
pre-installed on their device. They ain't gotta even work for it. But for and for like Android people, for people that use Windows machines, people that even use Linux. Like you basically can just use the Chrome browser and you can get your Apple Music if you want. I
Boom.
don't know why you want to, but that's what it is. It's
Yeah,
available for the ones that want it.
yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. But
Those exclusivity deals be deep.
deep, deep. It's a couple of joints I went to. I'm just like, wow. Like one of them was I think his name is Masego. The joint that came out with the ta-da, that song.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like that. I like that. But
yeah.
it's like they don't have the extended version on title. Like they don't have like the full on joint. But you go to Apple, they got it.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like how they even mess with shit like that's crazy. But
Yeah, I mean, because I
man,
mean, they basically at the point of bringing out, they like a step away from just becoming their own music, uh, you know, their own
about to step
music
away from
production
being their own
company.
label.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. They just be like, y'all be the label, we be the distributor, but you be the label for us.
Right.
You only distribute for us. I mean, or like we only distribute for you guys. And I mean, y'all can only come to us for distribution. I mean, but like it's that's the power place that they got. You got $1 trillion. I think
Right. Yeah.
most of the things with Apple is just like I'm always fall back on like y'all got $1 trillion.
Yeah. They got the bread.
Like y'all anything almost possible because you got $1 trillion.
They're worth more than the energy, all of the energy companies together in the U.S. So
That's what I'm saying. They be
yeah,
like,
shit.
"Oh, Apple is getting into nuclear power, nuclear fusion." I'm like, "Yeah, they got $1 trillion."
That's it.
They starting to make nuclear bombs. Yeah, they got
They
$1 trillion.
got
They
them
got their own
trails.
military. Yeah, they got $1 trillion.
They got them trail. But let's jump into this last one, man. This is how Apple owes everything to its 1977 Apple II computer. I wanted to read this first sentence that I think was pretty profound. This actually speaks to, although we sit here going back and forth about Apple, I think this does speak to the greatness, and it makes sense because this is when Steve Jobs is, he was really,
And he's
Steve,
hungry.
he was like hungry Steve, like. But it says it's the Apple II that made the company, kept it afloat, and even made it a cult success. But
Mhm.
it was also the Apple II that Steve Jobs tried so hard to kill off with the Mac. It's
Yep.
it's the little machine that could, did, and for its fans still does. And what I think is cool about that, man, is I was talking about how, when you look back on a lot of the older like technologies of the industry, there's a lot of things that so it's we've become so like inundated with just technology in itself and new things coming out all the time and how progressive, how rapidly expanding, technology is. But looking at like the humble beginnings of certain companies and when technology was at its phase where it still had that allure, that luster, as if this like it's truly the next big thing
Mhm.
for life. Taking a firm critique and look at that stuff, you'll see that a lot of the companies that we worship, that are like you said, cult successes to create these cultures, man. They come from a place where they had that one solid product that just set the trend for they opened up the company's world to so many other things. It really created the future for the company. Like because even now, advertised properly, you can talk about this one machine, and just from the proper advertising, you can pull in the right type of you can pull in all different types of new customers, all different, almost like reinitiate the movement, right? And so and what I and appreciate is that with Apple, they blazed the trail. Um, when it came to like the computing, they were the first ones that really had it popping. You know,
Yeah.
everybody else kind of just fell in line. We talked about this in our what was it, programming histories or like technology histories class. Remember,
Yeah.
Mike, and one of
Yeah.
them it was like IBM. Of course, it was like who was popping back then? It was IBM,
The
Bell.
Altair 8600 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but that and then of course Microsoft came on the scene copying a lot of people, right? Got primarily Apple, but yeah, it's something because now that we look at Apple as a company now, and there's a lot of things that they do an excellent job of being able to promote to people to keep the culture going and to honestly keep the company afloat with on the back of Steve Jobs' ambition and his legacy that he's left. But then too, I think the under was at the bed seat of that is knowing that Apple at its core started off as a great technology company that was very creative and introduced something into the world, not just technology, but introduced something into the world that blazed a trail for all of what we see in technology today. What you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, before Apple, it wasn't the computer wasn't a home consumer product. I mean, before Apple, it was definitely very much the niche product. It was something for computer scientists, for engineers. You had to basically you would get a assembly kit and you would put together your computer at home. I mean, and it didn't have a monitor, it didn't have the keyboard the way that we use it today. It didn't have a mouse the way that we use it today. It's a good documentary, whether it's believable or not. It's not really a documentary; it's more like a movie. It was like Pirates of Silicon Valley that talked about the start of Apple and Microsoft, and like you get to see like how they took the mouse and from Xerox, the mouse and the
Mhm.
graphical user interface that we know today, where you get to click on an icon, you get to drag something to throw it in the trash. All that stuff originally came from Xerox. Apple took it and integrated into the Mac OS. And that basically was like the first graphical user interface that we all started using today. Microsoft copied it for Windows. And I mean, we all basically are using that. The all in one computer, the iMac was all in one computer. Apple II was technically all in one. Like if you look at this picture, you can see that it's all sitting on top of each other into one, somewhat one unit.
I got the
But
floppy disk John right
yeah, but you
there.
body just on the right. Yeah, I mean, got the screen on the left, but it's all symmetrical to that keyboard and that main computer, and it all just sits right there in one place. They really, I mean, it probably was Steve Jobs and a lot of it. He was really trying to streamline it to be just one machine, one big box. You take it and you go with it. I remember I used to do some tech work for this older lady, Miss Elmira, and she had a 30-year-old um, Mac iMac. Yeah, I mean, and it had a handle on the top. So when you got it out the box, you basically just grabbed the handle, pulled it out, sat it on your top, and just you starting to use it. That's what it was. It wasn't no setup, no hooking up anything. You maybe had to hook up a keyboard and hook up the power. Yeah, I mean, but like you didn't have to build your computer. You didn't have to run install any operating systems or anything. You just had to run it. And you started using it, and they streamlined a lot of that, and they made it usable for the non-computer user, and that was like the number one thing that Steve Jobs was going for. Like we wanted to make a computer for everybody else, for the rest of us, type thing. He didn't want to make a computer for other engineers because engineers already had computers. Yeah, I mean they can use it for
Yeah.
all things. I mean he wanted to make a computer for writers, for artists, for musicians, and that's what he focused on. And I mean, you can sort of see that in the DNA of it now because I mean, Apple computers are the ones that people use for like music production, for artistry, for graphic design, for writing a book and stuff like that. Um, Windows tends to be the computer for everybody else. I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't want to get into the Apple world, but if you want to just get into that ecosystem as a whole, Apple cultivated that. I mean, that's a great word for it because they
Yeah.
built the cult around Apple, and, and
For
that's like
sure.
their niche thing.
All right, man. I mean, I guess yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one, man. Ain't too much to say after that. I think Apple, in that sense, I mean, it talks about in the article that some of it has some deficiencies, but we look at them as deficiencies now because of what we have. But I think I said it was only
Mhm.
able to well, for one, it was just like all connected, right? You wasn't able to do too like you had to carry that big ass box
Yeah.
wherever you went to,
Everybody
but then
and
too.
people used to complain about that. Like, yo, I can't modify this thing. I can't do nothing with it. And now when you look at all these computers now, they're just all in one units and you don't really do much modification.
Right.
They got desktops for the and the people that want to go and customize and modify it. But for the
Right.
most part, the bulk of computers that are sold are just like all in one type machines. Whether it's a
Absolutely.
laptop or a desktop, it's
That's
just
what I say. It's
give me
just the
this one machine.
laptops. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's the That's what what you see. And if we look at, if you can find the, I guess the similarities there, is that most laptops pretty much follow the same concept as the Apple II. Like everything
yeah,
here, from like the
yep,
mouse pad, the keyboard, and the screen. Like that's what they was going for, and this is what you said, the issue was carrying it around, hefting it around everywhere. But now we got these laptops that's only 2 inches at the max in height. We carry these things wherever we go, and like the whole idea of that came from, honestly, the trail was blazed from the Apple II. So
yep,
that
yep,
that I mean that I give Apple, good job, good
yeah,
job. You all set the trend for the culture for what 40 years later. You
yeah.
know
That's
what
why
I mean?
Steve Jobs still out there. That's why his name still rings bells for real.
Yeah,
Because I mean, he was
absolutely.
he was able to create. I mean, it was ideology. He wanted to build around people. He didn't want to have something that people had to figure out. It was just sort of
Mm.
like, just put your hands on it and you'll learn.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
yeah.
like he didn't want you to become a mathematician just to learn how to use his computer.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. But that's all we got for Apple Advisory, man. I think it's actually pretty cool. We ended on a positive note, man. Somebody need to keep someone out there, keep finding positive. That's what y'all need to do. Keep talking about the history of that. Everything from Apple from like 2005 and back. We can
Yeah,
say, yeah, we got like we. It was that thing, even because I didn't have, so it was still expensive then,
hmm,
but because of that, like, it was one of those things where, like, on in my college campus, everybody kind of had like everything was just pretty much Windows, right? It was Dell everything. If you had a
yep,
Toshiba, then you was kind of like, oh, so they got to see. But if you had an Apple, like they came in with the screens and all that. I remember it was in the new communications building. Remember that, Mike? Over there in New,
yeah,
we probably didn't go over there. But they had this room where they had it was just full of Apple technology. And when you went in there, it was like the room carried a different type of air.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I remember when they built that up. Yeah, yeah. It was like a
yeah,
whole nother environment.
right.
It was like they built that whole building just so that they could put Macs in the room.
Yeah, so it was. So I think if people who we keep talking about stuff from 2005 and back, we'll continue to end positively with Apple. But yeah, today was a good show, man. I'm glad we was able to discuss these things with you all. Look, what we want you all to do, for people who are listening, or people who they're the replay game, catch this after we do this. We want you all to like, comment, and subscribe. We got excellent information that we put together for you all week by week. We want to share with the layman, the person who just uses the stuff and not really into all the intricacies of how it works. And then we also share some things and some commentary for those who are in deep technology as we are. So just follow us on social medias. You can Google us. Not Bingo, so you can Google us with and just put podcast behind any of the shows we have, specifically this one, the Apple Advisory, and you'll find us on all the major streaming channels. But that's all we got for you all today, man. You got anything else, Mike?
Nah, man, keep listening. More content coming soon.
Awesome stuff, man. This is Mike Bennett and Mike Baker signing out with the Apple Advisory. Y'all have a nice day. Peace.
Take it easy, people.